reflect, but also be objective and honest with yourself, right? The things that you did that day pretty well, keep doing those things, but don't pretend that the things that didn't work so well didn't work so well, and then commit and then be able to do something different tomorrow.
Pull up a chair, bring the vision you're chasing. Look over the blueprints, years in the making. From planning to progress and growth that will last. Come on, let's build and enable at the inside table. At the inside table.
Hey, welcome to the Insight Table today. I'm really happy and excited about this guest in particular. Dr. Larry Young is the school superintendent for the MSD of Pike Township. And what I want you to hear from Larry is he kind of talks about his journey to get there. He's got some really great leadership principles, but at the end, towards the end of this, he talks a little bit about 12 non-negotiables their school has. He only gives us one, so I'm going to invite him back to talk about the other 11, but certainly listen for the one and what it means to him and his family and what he does with his staff each and every day. So enjoy this conversation. Today I have Dr. Larry Young with me from Pike Township. So grateful that you gave us some of your time today. I'm excited about this conversation. I've only met you a couple times, but every time I've talked to you, I've walked away, I think, a little bit different, which I think is just a credibility to who you are, I think, as a person. So like I said, I don't know you that well. So I'm excited about this conversation today. Hopefully our listeners can be excited about this. What we're trying to do is find leaders in the community who are doing good things, whether it's a school superintendent as you are, or if it's a mayor or a city council person or whoever it is. It can be, we had another guy in here recently on an episode that runs an organization that serves counties, right, across the state of Indiana. So just trying to find people and have these conversations. We call it the Insight Table. We want to hear from you today. But I think the best way to start this, as we have with everybody else, is to just ask you who you are, how you got here, like how did you become the superintendent of Pike Township Schools?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate you even inviting me here today and listening to me. Well, actually, as I think about my journey to the superintendency in Pike Township, it actually began as a child. I was born and raised in the community.
Okay.
Born and raised in Pike Township, and I attended Pike schools from kindergarten through 12th grade. Obviously, the district has grown. I can recall my parents allowing me to, and I grew up close to 62nd Rotorball area, but they would allow me during the summers, during the workday, to get on my bicycle and to ride down Rotorball Road to 71st Street, hang a ride, and go to a Dairy Queen. It's still there. It's near 71st in Michigan.
I know where it is,
But what's so interesting is during that time, I would, on that bike ride, would not see a car during the day.
Wow.
Now if you try that, good luck, right? But graduated from Pike High School. When I finished up college, I had the great fortune and blessing to come back and work for the school district as a classroom teacher. I taught 5th grade, 4th grade. Back then, we had sort of a traditional summer school model, and I would teach the children transitioning from kindergarten to 1st grade during the summer. Then I had the opportunity to serve as an assistant principal. I was a principal, director of student and community services, director of elementary education, assistant superintendent of elementary education, assistant superintendent of operations, interim superintendent. So this is I'm wrapping up my 28th year.
Wow,
as
good for
an
you.
employee
Congratulations.
in Pike. Still live in the community. I have one child that is a graduate of Pike High School, and I have one that is a junior.
That's awesome.
So, been in the community all my life.
And you skipped over this part a little bit, but college.
Yes.
Where did you go to school?
Out of high school, I went to the University of Louisville. There for a couple of years, transferred and finished up my undergrad at IUPUI. I did my master's work in education and then school administration at Indiana Wesleyan University. I did my PhD work at Purdue University.
That's where Purdue piece comes in.
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to figure that out.
Yep. I wrapped it all up up at West Lafayette at Purdue University.
Well, good. Well, man, that's a incredible story. I mean, just being in the neighborhood. And you said do your parents still live in the neighborhood?
My parents still live there.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about Pike Township a little bit, because I don't know that everybody that listens to this is going to know exactly where you are and what kind of maybe uniqueness that your district has, your township has. So help us understand Pike Township and the schools specifically.
Absolutely. Marion County has 11 school districts, and we are one of the 11. We are the very northwest corner of the city. When you factor in our enrollment of our preschool students, we have just under 11,000. We have 9 elementaries, 3 middle schools, an accelerated alternative high school, our preschool program, and then our high school.
Okay.
High school, we have typically around 3,300 students or so. In Pike Township, every day we have children who at home speak over 80 different languages every day. And so we're very, very diverse school district. We are, I would share, when I took over, I had the vision. It's something I shared with many people. I wanted Pike Township to be the model urban school district. And I took over at a time when we were coming out of the pandemic.
Okay.
I recall there was an article my first year. So I took the reins in January, then we immediately took iLearn in March. Well, there was an article, or that spring, April, there was an article about those results. And unfortunately, we were the only school district in Marion County that didn't have any growth in language arts, reading, or math. And I set a goal that we would just be the model urban school district. And part of that goal and being recognized as that is that we had to ultimately positively impact the experience for our students. And that's going to be measured in graduation rates, but also many of these standardized tests. And since that time, we have raised our graduation rate up to 97%.
That is incredible. Yeah.
And 2 previous years, it was 96%, and that had dipped down. So we've got it up to that point, and we've experienced 3 straight years of gains on iRead and also
congratulations
on iLearn. I share this also that I think that's impressive, but I believe when you look at what statistics and what data suggests, that when you have communities and school districts that have a high percent of Black and brown children, even though the children are brilliant, research has shown that the performance on standardized test graduation rates has nothing to do with our children's race or but just some of the obstacles that
environment
that people would face. So having shared all of that, in addition to what our enrollment looks like and the children that walk in our door every day, I just think it's that much more profound.
It is. I think it's remarkable. So I want to give kudos to you and your team. I know it's not a solo show, right? You got a lot, right? You got a bunch of teachers. How many staff do you have?
So we have about 1,600 staff.
Okay.
So right around half of that, about 800 would be certified or teachers, and then the other half would be non-certified. We call them classified. Would be support, IAs, our instructional assistants, our bus drivers, our office staff. Would be the other half.
That's a big company, right? Really, when you think about it, how many people you're leading every day.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit. I think you've already kind of laid out the uniqueness of your district. Obviously, that produces some challenges, but at the same time, maybe some really cool things can come out of that. What are you guys doing to address that cultural inclusion, and how does that work? If you have kids who don't speak English as their native language, or they're going home and speaking a different language, and maybe their parents can't help them at home with homework, like how does that? What are you guys doing about that? How does that work? Help us understand that.
Absolutely. Well, I think one thing that we believe is that all of those things that are often challenges, we believe enrich the experience for the children, and we believe that a child that comes through our school system is prepared to go anywhere and take the next steps in realizing their dreams, whether that's go into college, the workforce, or enlisting because they've had the experiences,
Sure.
those diverse experiences in Pike. We think that they're ready.
Yeah.
We're doing, a lot of things, many things that I don't know may be so unique to Pike Township, but one, when we look at children that come that have different needs, one, we have to make sure that we can provide them with the resources. So you have instructional and curricular materials and resources. So we have to be good stewards of the funds and the dollars we have. We have to get creative, capitalize on grants, really lean on community partners such as yourself, really invest in making Pike a place that the best and the brightest want to come and want to be part of, want to work and stay. We had one of our highest retention rates of over 97%.
Wow, for you.
This past year. One thing that I really appreciate that was shared publicly from the president of our teachers union is that during my tenure, and not that I did this, but what our team did, is that our staff had experienced the highest pay increases in at least recent history, and that the relationship between administration and also our teaching staff just hasn't been better. And those aren't my words;
those are
are words
fantastic.
that were shared at a public meeting. So having a place that people want to come to, the best and the brightest, having the right people on the bus is important. And then ensuring that we have the resources to equip those phenomenal educators, and we have the best of the best to be able to do the work is important. Another thing that we've really leaned into, which many corporations have, regardless of the field, is using AI. There are a lot of tools I believe that are available, some free. We've actually invested in a tool called I think it's Magic School, I believe is the name of the tool, which allows for not only our teachers to use AI, but it also allows for our students. Some of the other tools, you have to be 18, Chat, GPT, Gemini, but this is a particular AI tool that our students can interact with as well. So those are just a few of the things that we've done to really ensure that whoever walks through our door, again, our vision and our goal is that when they leave us, whatever their vision is, they won't be able to step into that necessarily right away, but they're ready to take the next step. If a student wants to be an astronaut, they're not going to be heading to the moon the day after graduation.
Well, they got to go to Purdue first.
But they'll go to Purdue. They'll be able to get accepted into Purdue, hopefully, with the scholarship and be able to take those
That'd be awesome.
steps. Yeah.
Well, I again commend you for the work you and your team have done there. It is impressive, though. Everything that I've read about the district and what I see when I walk through with your team on what we're doing there. So you mentioned a couple of things there. I want to maybe ask you a couple big picture questions. Maybe one is, what do you see as the biggest challenge to school districts coming up in the next 5 years? And then we're going to maybe counter that with what's the biggest opportunity.
Absolutely.
So what do you let's start with the challenge first.
Funding. I believe not only in Pike, but when I speak with other educational leaders, the funding, I think everyone is aware, and all, municipalities, corporations, organizations that really depend on those public dollars, the impact of recent changes that impacts the amount of money that we have coming in that we can utilize to do all the things that I just talked about is always a challenge. And I get it. We're all pulling
from each other,
and
same
advocating
buckets
and lobbying to get as much of that piece of the pie as we can. But we have seen some reductions in funding on the side of the education, which we use for salaries and benefits, but then also on our operations side, which we use to maintain our facilities. So trying to make those dollars last and still ensure that the experience that the children get in the classroom continues to be excellent. So that continues to be a challenge. I think that an opportunity, our partners such as yourself, the various group that are passionate about the work that you all do in supporting organizations like the MSD of Pike Township to continue that goal. You all bring a level of expertise. You help with and have an understanding of the ins and
I hope
outs
so.
of
So.
projects and things that ultimately can get us what we want, but can allow us to get those things done maybe at a lower cost.
Sure.
Too. So I think really leaning into to organizations, groups, partners. Always, you have grants and other things that may be competitive, but I believe the opportunities are there.
Okay, I want to come back to the grants in a minute because I know you guys have had some success there recently.
Yes.
But let's go to that second big question, which is, what do you think the next big opportunity for schools is going to be in the next 5 years or so?
The next big.
Is there a big shift coming? You already mentioned AI, right? And how you're going to implement that. That's clearly that's kind of I call it a hairball for everybody, right? Because it's like that. I don't know how to touch this or grab it, or we want the students to still learn, but learn the right way. But we know they're going to use it. So how do we engage them in using it? How do our teachers use it to make them more efficient? Is that an opportunity? Is that one of your biggest opportunities, or is there something else?
Yes, I think all of those things are definitely big opportunities. There's been a recent change in graduation requirements, that diploma.
We've followed that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so I believe as we sort of wrap our arms around the possibilities within that, I believe that there are some opportunities for us to help our children get some experiences at a younger age, middle school, high school, and really get on a solid footing for what they want to do in the future. Now, what that will require oftentimes, as we look at some of those work-based opportunities, is for people to open their doors.
That's right.
And to allow our children to come in and get some of those experiences. But being able to count those experiences towards credit for graduation, I believe has a potential to be pretty significant for our children long term. Now, it still remains to be seen, but I believe as school districts better understand, engage in conversations with other communities and corporations and organizations, I believe we can create those pathways.
Yeah, well, good. Talk to me a little bit about CTE. I know career training education. We've been having this conversation with a lot of superintendents where I want to really give you a tour here in a couple months of the new building out in Hancock County, which is all 4 school districts come together to build a CTE center.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Love to show you that. But you guys have CTE programs on your high school campus?
Yes, absolutely.
And what does that look like for you guys?
Absolutely, we do. We have our Pike STEM and Career Center, and we're actually excited. I know we're going to talk a little about the Lilly Endowment, and in our phase 3, but there's an opportunity for us to expand. But we have a pretty extensive offering for our students, many of which lead to various certifications. And I believe that has, again, provided, as we think about opportunities, something that, I was a Pike graduate. We didn't necessarily have, or at least not on site in Pike Township. So again, it allows our children to have something that right after high school, if they choose to go into the workforce, that can yield some pretty good income. Or if they choose to maybe work in that particular area and then pursue a degree, it will help out. Obviously, we know that education is expensive.
Yes.
And I believe some of these opportunities that our children are walking away with can help ease that.
On August 13th, the Veritas Group is hosting the Insight Summit 2026 at the Alexander Hotel in downtown Indianapolis. This is a one-day in-person gathering designed for mayors, city and county officials, planners, engineers, economic development leaders, and community advocates who are actively shaping Indiana's future. The day is built around real-world insight from Veritas Group-led projects across the state, focusing on what's actually working in infrastructure, public space development, and economic growth. Whether you're driving capital projects, navigating growth challenges, or building strategic partnerships, attendees will leave with actionable insights, expanded networks, and a clearer vision for delivering lasting community impact. Learn more and register at theveritasgroup.com/insight.
You talked a little bit about how much that district has changed, how much the school has changed. You have 3,300 roughly in your high school today, so probably a graduating class of around 800 or so.
That's correct.
How many were there when you graduated? You remember?
Oh, maybe a couple hundred.
Couple hundred. So it changed quite a bit, right? Maybe even 4x, right? Of how big it is. So, I mean, that whole area has grown, of course, and I think it's strangely maybe the southeast corner of the loop, the 465 loop probably hasn't grown nearly as much, but I think that northwest corner is really kind of one of was more recently just kind of taken off, and a lot of growth over there. So again, happy for you guys. Let's pivot to that conversation now about the Lilly Endowment grant. Tell us about that process a little bit, kind of what you guys had to do. I know you're one of maybe 10 or so schools that were able to receive a sizable chunk of money to really invest into some deeper programs and some capital projects.
Absolutely.
So help us understand that.
Well, one, thank you. Lilly Endowment. We greatly appreciate it. And so there were really 3 phases. You had phase 1, which was a planning phase, and then phase 2, which was not competitive. There were expectations and sort of requirements. If you met those, Marion County schools receive those dollars. And then you had phase 3, which was competitive. We in Pike Township heard rumors that our Lilly Endowment partners might be offering grant dollars for Marion County schools. So based on what we heard might be coming down the pike, no pun intended, we got together, pulled the cabinet, and we just brainstormed. We said, hey, listen, let's forget about amounts and dollars and costs. Let's dream big. As we think about areas that we're doing pretty good, we have a lot of resources. What's an area, if money wasn't an issue, that we would really want to prioritize, and what might that look like? And that's exactly what we did. We literally went to the room and just started hashing out and throwing things, ideas out, and just came up with a list of areas and priorities. And we really focused on our high school. We had several initiatives and things in place for our elementary students. Through the phase 2, we focused on our middle school students. So just what we prioritized and said this is a need just happened to be focused at the high school level. Well, lo and behold, several months later, Lilly Endowment rolled out the application for phase 3, and what we applied for, and we're so grateful and honored to receive, was a grant and it was for the project's around $32 million, and Lilly Endowment granted us with over $26 million.
Wow, good for you guys. Yeah,
and we're looking at building a facility. In that facility, on the lower level, there will be space suites for work-based learning, and that will allow for partners, maybe one corporation organization, Tuesday and Thursday, so flexible spacing, someone else Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that would allow our students, rather than having to go find transportation, to come right there on site and work alongside professionals. And then on the upper level, the second level, there will be, we talked about the CTE program. So there's space there. We looked at adding to our current programming, so welding, dental, hygienist programs, and a couple of others, just with that space that we believe we'll be able to expand. We have been in conversation with partners that agree to come alongside of us in that effort. Then there's also a conference areas, like around on paper, it's a huge lecture hall space of almost 10,000 square feet. And then sort of an open area that we can utilize for performing arts, for practice. I look outside my office window and I can see the parking lot in which our our band practices, and they're out there when it's
100 degrees. Yeah. That's a summer thing, right?
It's a summer thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're some of our best athletes, but when it rains, right, they're not able to utilize that space. So a place where they could practice robotics.
Sure.
We entered into an agreement even with Robin Run Village, which is a retirement community.
Okay.
That's adjacent to our property. We will have a space where they can come. Imagine them having a swipe card.
Sure.
Where if it's cold
they can
or
walk
if it's dark, they can come into that space and just utilize it and walk.
Great for the community.
Oh, yeah. Wellness classes, fitness classes. So multi-uses. There's another space that is a sort of a we're looking at social service or we have a food pantry we can expand in there, maybe a clinic as well. So we're really excited. Yes, we believe it can be very, very transformative for our community.
Yeah. So I know you have some other capital projects going on. Help us understand a little bit how you work to prioritize what needs to be done versus what wants to be done, right? Obviously you got a big chunk of a grant that really helps you kind of get that wish list, but then every school has to balance the day-to-day, right? How do we do these little things, whether it's a roof replacement or a parking lot skin? And I think this is where taxpayers don't always understand, like, aren't my dollars going to educate a student? And you're like, well, but if I can't park in the parking lot safely, or we don't have lights, or our roofs are leaking, or what, how do you prioritize that with your team?
Well, one thing that I do, and I actually learned this from Dr. Jones, one of my mentors, retired superintendent in Pike Township, is every spring I do what I call spring walkthrough. Myself and my director of facilities, and we walk every single facility. What we're looking for, and this is short term, are things that whether it's potential leaks or we need to paint or replace wallpaper or carpet or furniture, things that we can do pretty quickly, because we want to make sure that our students and our staff have a space that's conducive for learning, but also for teaching when they come back.
Right.
We also have what we call a blue ribbon plan. That is sort of our 10-year plan, where we can say in 8 years from now, we can expect that we need to make an update or repair. We put it right there in the plan. Now, obviously, we have to make adjustments.
That's right.
And prioritize things.
Emergencies take precedence.
It's somewhat fluid, but we do have sort of a long-term plan, a projection of projects, and a rubric that really guides the work that we do. And we've been really fortunate in Pike. I think one of the things that we've done, that we've been very aggressive, right, when we pay back loans or bonds and those types of things. And because of that, over the years, we've been able to do multiple projects.
That's good for you guys.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm excited about all the things that are going on there. It's really been fascinating to talk to you and your team a little bit. Can I pivot a little bit and talk about your leadership journey? You're leading an organization now of over 1,600 staff people with then 11, or did you say 11,000 students? Is that what you said? I think it said almost.
Just under 11,000. So, we include our preschool students.
Right. So now you're not just, you got 1,600 employees, but you also have then 11,000 students and families and all these different people that you have to deal with on a daily basis. So help us understand what you've learned over the years that kind of made you ready for this role. And maybe you mentioned a mentor. Did you have a mentor? Like, how did you mentally prepare? I mean, I lead an organization of like 40, and sometimes I think that's too many. Help us understand really how you got there and kind of what you've learned over the years.
Absolutely. And I did have a mentor, and Dr. Nathaniel Jones, who was superintendent in Pike Township. I was actually a classroom teacher when he came to Pike. And then I had just about every promotion that I referenced at the beginning of our conversation was most were under his tenure. And I would say that one thing that really helped me out was that he really didn't keep anything from me.
That's helpful, isn't it?
Yes.
The good and the bad, right?
The good and the bad. And so to kind of see that, and to have someone sort of walk me through, explain, someone I can ask questions to. And I would say that part of my journey has been just learning, sort of cutting my teeth in a ton of different experiences. When I walked into the superintendency in Pike Township, I had, nearly 20, pushing 25
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
of experience, and probably 18 of those were in leadership. Um, so I think for me, it wasn't a fast track
Right.
by any means. Um, it was just a matter of having an opportunity, a door open, and just focusing on mastering those skills,
Yeah.
those concepts, which were always applicable to that next experience. I think one, far as a disposition that I think has helped me, um, is one, being a quick study, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make a lot of mistakes. What I try to do, and I do a pretty good job of, is not making those same mistakes
Same ones,
over
yeah.
and over. So I open up the door to make new mistakes, obviously, every day, which I do, but then being open and honest with myself and being objective. I had a professor, who was Dr. Al Long, former superintendent, and he shared something with me. This is during my time at Indiana Wesleyan that I thought was really profound. And what he shared was that if there's someone on my team that doesn't have time to reflect, you just can't be on my team. And to add to that, reflect, but also be objective and honest with yourself, right? The things that you did that day pretty well, keep doing those things, but don't pretend that the things that didn't work so well didn't work so well, and then commit, and then be able to do something different tomorrow. And those are some of the things that I think about as a leader, and the things that drive me are really a couple things. It's kind of unique being a superintendent in the school district that I grew up in.
Sure.
So every day I want to provide a better experience for those students in those same schools. There's more schools now, and the schools that have the same name aren't the exact same building.
That's right.
But still, I want them to have a better experience than I did. And I had a really good experience in Pike. And then I also want to help the adults in which I have influence realize their dreams, whether that's being a middle school science teacher for 35 years or being a superintendent. And I was really excited. I have someone who worked for me, and I helped sort of navigate and open up doors for him, Dr. Larry Huff. And he had an opportunity to go from being my chief academic officer to being the superintendent at Elkhart.
Yeah.
And now he is the superintendent, I think it's Rockford, Illinois now.
Yeah.
So those things just excite me.
They should, right? Because I think, and that you're speaking my language here, is kind of building into the next generation.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys have any kind of programs or anything for some of your emerging leaders?
Yeah, we do.
Do you?
Yeah, we have a leadership academy. So
that's awesome.
Last week we graduated the 26th class.
Awesome. Yeah.
And many of these individuals are they're current classroom teachers that have completed or are going through an administrator's program. They have to be recommended by their supervisor. We meet once a month throughout the year. We have proficiencies, just like a class, that they have to complete and submit.
Yeah.
We have panelists and guests. We do book talks and studies, and we go over a lot of things that aren't really covered in the classroom. It's real life. We give them scenarios. Oftentimes the scenarios that we have them work on are real. Are scenarios that just happened earlier last week or the previous month, or sometimes that morning.
Good for you though.
But it is. It's something that I believe, one, hopefully will help those individuals. But I'm open and I'm honest with the Academy members day one. The other side of it is I'm also utilizing that time to look at potential leaders in Pike. The majority of the assistant principals or people that are entering into administration and leadership, we hire right out of the Academy.
Well, good. Yeah. Good. Are you struggling at all? I know a lot of the schools we've talked to are struggling to fill positions, right? Just trying to find qualified, good people. Is that something you guys are working through as a team?
Yeah. The biggest challenge for us are the behavior support classrooms, life skills under that umbrella of exceptional learners or special education. Those are classes and jobs where people just have the biggest of hearts, unique skill sets, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's
only
kind of
imagine.
draining. It's tough. So, sometimes filling those positions can be tough. And then we talked about the CTE positions. And so we want those instructors to have certain certifications, which would allow our kids to then sit for the exams to be certified themselves. And there's interest oftentimes in specific programs, but just finding the people that are not practitioners.
Right.
Because they have all the certifications to go out and do the work and make a whole lot of money, that are willing to come
and do it
and teach those courses and those opportunities. So those are the two areas that we see are the most challenging with trying to fill.
Yeah, so I hear that a lot, and I would encourage anybody that's listening to this that if you have a skill set that you think could be applied into a career training, technical training, education program, to reach out to your local school district.
Yeah.
If you have any interest in participating at any level, I think there's just different ways that all these professionals can engage. And of course, with the new standards for high school graduation, there's going to be more need for engagement of employers and those things across the board. So we encourage anybody that wants to do that can certainly do that. We're trying to do that here with the Lawrence Township Schools, which new building right down the street from us. And so all those things. Hey, I want to shift here as we kind of wrap this up to some of my favorite parts, which are really kind of tell us a little bit more. What do you do? I mean, you've got some kids, right? You're probably chasing all over the place if they're athletes. But what do you do with your time when you're not working?
Yes. So let me see. Sunday, I had a day. There's always stuff to do.
Sure.
Always stuff to do. I called my uncle who plays golf regularly, and we went out and played around.
Nice.
I don't get a chance to play more than probably 3 or 4 times a year, but I did do that. I checked my steps. I got 13,000 steps in that day.
So you walked it too?
No, I didn't.
No, okay.
That probably doesn't speak too well about how straight I hit the ball. You reference, my children. I do have a son who is a football player at UND, and I have another son who is in the middle of baseball season. He's a junior at Pike. And I do enjoy spending time watching them compete. We have about 12 non-negotiables in Pike Township, and one non-negotiable is radical self-care. So if you're an employee of Pike Township, there's an expectation that you create a plan for yourself. It's nothing that you have to share with your supervisor. No one's going to check up on you, but there is an expectation from me that you are intentional about your well-being. And for me, it is watching a movie, or I will watch a TV series, and I do that every week.
Awesome.
Sometimes it's on Saturday, and sometimes it's on Sundays. So on Saturday this week is part of my radical self-care. Saturday, my wife and I went to see, I think it's called Hail Mary.
Yeah, Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary. And we just wrapped up on Sunday the second season of Paradise.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
And it is. It's just an
disconnect.
It is. Yeah. It really is. When for me, and this is not for everyone, for a lot of people, it's physical activities, walking, going to the gym.
Sure.
It's going to be different for everyone. For me, and those things are important, kind of losing myself in a storyline or a movie, I do it does give me a chance to sort of disconnect. And that helps me kind of reset and recharge and get ready for the next week.
That's good, man. I really appreciate that. I think that's a really good message for everybody. I don't even remember the first time we met, I told you that I was a middle school basketball coach.
Yes.
And that our big litmus test every year is New Augusta, right? And we're a very small private school, right? But I told you this, and we hadn't even gotten into the season yet, because I think we met like last summer maybe. But we did get in the summer. We hosted you guys this year at our school.
Yes.
we almost won.
Okay,
so which we've always gotten blown out, by the way. So it's usually like a 20 or 30 point, just killing.
Yes.
And our team was really looking forward to this game. We kind of circled it at the beginning, like, hey, this will tell us how good we may be or may not be.
Or may not be. Yeah.
And we never know what you guys have, right? Because you guys have some really talented kids, and your new gym, I think that's part of the money you guys spent, was beautiful over there.
Thank you.
But we did host you. We were up by 4 with 30 seconds left.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
wow.
And then we didn't win. So it went to overtime.
Oh wow!
Went to overtime.
Okay.
It was a great game.
Yeah.
Both teams played really hard. Your boys were awesome. Our kids played hard. So we appreciate playing public schools like that are competitive and fun.
Yeah.
That we can look at and circle on our calendar. And I'm sure that'll be circled on our calendar every year. And maybe
I hope so.
Maybe sometime we can get a W. But man,
every blue moon
going to overtime with New Augusta this year was a big deal for our kids. And so and they knew they should have won it, I think, in their own mind. Hey, we were ahead and we didn't win this. Like this was ours to win. So hey, Dr. Young, thank you for coming in today. Man, this has been awesome. I think I heard 2 or 3 things that I'm going to talk to our marketing team about, and maybe we actually bring you back.
Okay.
I want to hear more about your non-negotiables. I want to hear, once you get into your projects, maybe how those are going and how you're engaging with the community. So, but really appreciate you being here. Thanks for taking the time to drive all the way over to the east side of town. Maybe you can have a good lunch or stop someplace on your way back.
There we go.
But would love to have you back sometime. So thank you very much.
Come back. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for listening today. Thanks for clicking on this and diving in a little bit deeper. We hope you learned something today. And if you did, or you want more information, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to connect you with the right people to get you the answers that you need. But really help you leave with one thing in mind, is that our goal here at Veritas is to renew communities through great projects and great people. I think all of these conversations have shown that in some way or another. So thanks for listening today, and catch up with us next time.